Alright, so this is my video for modifications on special populations. The first one I'll start with is high blood pressure or hypertension. Hypertension occurs when a person experiences excessively high pressure on the arterial walls of their arteries due to the blood pumped from the heart. If someone does have hypertension, it is generally recommended, although it does depend on the policy of the club, that they get medical clearance before they start an exercise program. However, once they do have clearance, the things I'd look out for would be with resistance training to mix it up with aerobic exercise, and it should always involve lighter weights and more reps rather than heavier weights and lower reps. They should also avoid any exercise that involves arms or legs being raised above the heart, as this causes the heart to work harder and increases their blood pressure, which is already high. And finally, they should avoid any exercises that require them, or if they hold their breath, or to explosively exhale at any point in time, so plyometric, something like that. In terms of the exercise I just demonstrated, with the interval cardio session I did on the rower, the sudden intensity spikes from the rest to high intensity would put pressure on the heart to lift its output, and so very suddenly. So I would look to use a more continuous training at lower intensities for longer periods of time. For the resistance exercise, I would look to lower the weights but increase their reps, and for the dumbbell chest press, I would look to get them to do it on an incline instead of lying flat, so the arms do not come above the heart when they perform the exercise. Moving on to lower back pain, it's very important if a client has lower back pain to warm the lower back up by stretching before, as this will help with their range of movement. You should also ensure all exercises you do are supported throughout. So for example, if you're doing a squat, look to do it against the wall with a Swiss ball against their lower back, and that way they've got support throughout the entire range of motion. They should also avoid exercise such as deadlift or barbell squat with no support, as this puts excessive strain on their lower back. In terms of the exercise I've just demonstrated, to take into consideration lower back injury, I would ensure that the dumbbell chest press was done on either an incline or on flat bench on their back, but definitely not a decline. For the rower training, instead of the rower, I might look to use a bike with a back support and a seat to allow them to work at higher intensities without risking any injury to their back. Also, with the push-up, you could look to use a wall push-up or have their knees on the ground instead, again, to just reduce the load on the back while they're performing exercise. Finally, if a client has a knee injury, often with knee injuries, they lead to instability in the joint and hence have a higher risk of failing in any dynamic exercise that involves change of direction. And so I look to keep any exercise involving the knee down to one plane of movement. Stretching can also be important, as it can help to loosen some of the muscles around the knee which may have tightened in response to an injury. You also want to avoid heavy weight being taken on through the knee, as again it just puts a lot of stress on the joint, which is already injured or very sore. In terms of modifications for the exercise that I've demonstrated, the weighted lunge would be one that I'd be very careful with, as the lunge puts pressure through the knee or applies force to the knee throughout the whole range of motion. So if I was beginning with a client with a knee injury, I'd perhaps start off without weights and with a guide rail beside them so they could be supported. However, I might also consider starting off on a lying leg press to so they're working the same muscles as the lunges, however there's not as much load going through the knee. Finally, with the biking might also be a good alternative to rowing, as less force goes through the knee in the effort phase, and you'd also be maintaining one plane of movement throughout the action of pedaling. It's all good.